Phase episode 42 starts now. Welcome to the program. We got a lot to talk about today. I'm your host, Brandon Davis, joined today by Captain America.
We're not doing Halloween. What? All right, cool, solid. What's up, everybody?
I think you need to. Yeah, I think you're the only person who's ever come to this show so stylish. I'll say that three times fast. Aaron Perrine is here, ladies and gentlemen. We also have Chris Killian joining us on this fine Wednesday.
Man, if I'd have known we could wear costumes, I'd have done that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, we were worried about letting you find out.
Yeah, clearly. I would have loved that. You should have told me. I'd have got all gussied up for it.
We never know what you would have shown up in, Chris. That's it. Hey, we got Jenna Anderson on the program.
Hey, everybody. We really should have made this a costume party. Like, in hindsight, Aaron was Galaxy Brain over here. I don't know why the rest of us didn't do this. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'll be honest. The only reason I'm not celebrating it more is because I didn't think of it myself. So here we are. Well, welcome to episode 42. I want to thank everybody who came to the quarantine watch party of Spider-Man 3 last night and watched Tobey Maguire dance down the street. It really made me excited for this Spider-Man No Way Home. I really hope we get to see that Raimi-verse continued in one way or another. Like, what happened next? Because that trilogy just, like, ends. Right, Chris? I know you're going to want to weigh in on this. Like, doesn't that trilogy just kind of, like, end abruptly?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for all the crap that Spider-Man 3 gets, it's really not a bad movie. It's like, it's not as good as 1 and 2, but it's like overstuffed. But there are some great stuff. There's good stuff in Spider-Man 3.
There's some really good stuff. But so many parts of that movie make me feel like it's like theme park ride type stuff. Mm-hmm. Like the CGI on Sandman gives me like vibes of like the Mummy at Universal Orlando, stuff like that. But for a movie that came out when it did, I mean, the CGI is pretty impressive. I remember as a kid being pretty impressed by that stuff. I wasn't even a kid anymore. I was a teenager. Same thing. But yeah, no, that's. I hope we get to peek back into that because that franchise just kind of ended, and they were going to do Spider-Man 4, and then they didn't. We also got the Lightyear trailer. Did you guys watch the Lightyear trailer this morning?
It is amazing. Like, it had no right to be that good. Like, I tweeted, this is the most excited I've been for a Pixar movie in like a decade. Like, honestly, Chris Evans as Buzz Lightyear is the weirdest casting ever, and I am so here for it. Like, this movie is just going to be awesome.
I think it looks dope.
Everybody on Twitter is just really, really confused because he has hair.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very strange. Like, I was laughing very hard. I'm like, what? That's what we're all like glomming on to, not the rest of it? Okay. All right.
Chris, you're muted, big fella. Chris went to unmute himself, and he just removed himself from the chat entirely. Anyway, that's a bummer. We hate to see that. We're going to move on because Chris just exiled himself from Phase Zero altogether by accident.
He Irish goodbye. He
is Irish. He's got right. I don't know. Anyway, all right. We're going to move on. We got some MCU news. When Chris comes back to the show, he really enjoyed Eternals. So the two of us are going to kind of spar because I only liked it and he loved it. So we're going to talk about the differences there and the Eternals reviews that have come up. Completely spoiler-free. We're saving that for later in the show because I know some people don't want to hear about Eternals anymore until they see it, and I respect that. So we're going to get through all the news first, starting with Spider-Man No Way Home updates. Woo! A photo of Doc Ock really taking it to Spidey has surfaced. It's in Empire magazine. I don't think the magazine comes out till tomorrow. I think somebody got photos of it, but we're talking about it today. So those Doc Ock legs are all wrapped around seemingly Peter Parker Spider-Man in the Iron Spider suit on that bridge scene from the trailer. I'm not buying it. All right. First of all, sell. I don't take it. That is not real. Look, if I'm wrong, I'll eat all my words here. I don't believe that Peter Parker, Tom Holland's Peter Parker, is on that bridge in an Iron Spider suit. Something of that equation is not true. Either he's not wearing the Iron Spider suit, it's a different Spider-Man, the whole thing is a lie. I don't know. Maybe my hat's a little too tight. Jenna, what do you think of that?
I've been in agreement ever since the first trailer of because I know I had mentioned it when we talked about the trailer at the time of the Hello Peter kind of could take a different context if it is the Peter that Alfred Molina actually knows and not just Tom Holland Peter. So I've been in that camp too. I definitely think it's possible. There's something about that scene that is not adding up. We need to acknowledge the meme photo that they put out like late last week of the running away, because like that, the CGI on that too feels like this was kind of slapdash together, A, to make a meme, and B, to hide the fact that there might be like a different costume or a different something else going on there. So yeah, something's definitely up.
I mean, I just go back to the fact that like Spider-Man was in the Civil War scenes, but they took him out of every scene. Like they can manipulate this stuff. Spider-Man suits are completely CGI.
Yeah.
So especially in like those action sequences. So I'm not buying that that all of that's real. Aaron, you have any thoughts on this before we move on?
Everybody's got such PTSD from all the fake outs. Like the Marvel Studios pump fakes forever. Like they just consistently.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry.
Hey.
There's Chris. So like Infinity War, none of that happened. Like literally
Hulk
none
and
of it
Wakanda.
happened.
Yeah.
Wakanda, the weird amount of Infinity Stones on the gauntlet, all this stuff. So like when Brandon said that, I'm like, oh boy, it's so plausible that I'm like, I'd buy it. I would.
They've been doing this for years too. Back in 2014, they had a trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy where Star-Lord beat up those aliens with Karath and said, "Take that, Ninja Turtle," and it wasn't even in the movie. So there's been all kinds of stuff like that they've been doing for years, and now they just have us all guessing. They have us right where they want us. Also, we have confirmation that Rhys Ifans, I wish I could say that guy's name. Rhys Ifans. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna stop before I do it even worse. The kicker from the replacements is definitely in Spider-Man No Way Home as Lizard. And we also have Thomas Hayden Church as Sandman to make Rhys feel better. I'm going to say Tomas Hayden Church is back. And also Jemai Folks is playing Electro. These are all confirmed in the Empire magazine. And, it's not even... I feel like this stuff isn't even exciting anymore because, like, we've all known it, and now we just know it. So it's still cool, though, Anybody excited by this?
Lizard 226.
Confirmed.
Yep, confirmed.
Put it on a T-shirt.
As long as Rhino's not in it, I'm fine with it. That's all. Sorry. That Rhino was trash.
Paul Giamatti deserves a second chance.
This is not Paul Giamatti's fault. I like Paul Giamatti. I want to clarify that it is not Paul's fault, but that Rhino was garbage.
Listen. That man was in every trailer, and he got killed by a sewer grate in 2 minutes.
I do think. Look. Obviously they're trying to do right by the villains. They're giving Electro yellow lightning. I'm not against Paul Giamatti getting another chance if they're gonna actually do it right. But if they're gonna do that
see him
stuff
as
again,
a Rhino.
Yeah, exactly. I want a Paul Giamatti full CGI Rhino.
Aaron, what were you gonna say?
The Empire cover that dropped last week now has us all scrambling because thank goodness they like announced that these three guys are in it, so you can keep track of our rotating lineup of all the villains that are in this movie because we just don't know. Like the Mephisto, not Mephisto. Oof, bad 4-letter word in this podcast. The Mysterio helmet that was on the cover sent all of us and Jim Viscardi into a day-long argument on Twitter last week about him being a part of this too, and we haven't heard anything about that, but it's clearly on the cover. I don't know what's going on anymore.
Yeah, but do you think that just is from the aftermath of everything, like Mysterio just kind of being a part of the story? He essentially gets the ball rolling there with Peter's identity.
What if this isn't even a Sinister Six and it's just 5 of them?
I'm in the opposite camp. I think there's going to be more than 6 villains. I think if we get a Sinister Six, there might be some rotating in the roster over the course of the movie. Because at this point, the possibility, the number of villains who could be in this movie is way more than 6. So if we do get most or all of them in this movie, there's going to have to be some turnover.
We're going to get a Mysterio who's really from another universe, and he's going to be like, I'm from another universe, and everybody's going to be like, ha, you dick, shut up. You've done that one before. All right, we're going to move on. Oh, also, the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer 2 apparently was classified by the Korean government, so it's ready for release there. That's what the internet would have you believe. I never know. Sometimes when these trailers get classified, they drop a minute later. Sometimes we don't see them for 6 months, but something to hold on to if you're really hoping for a Spider-Man trailer. But we're going to move on to another piece of news. Very exciting stuff happening in the MCU.
So this was a thing that had been, I think, like rumored or speculated about in recent weeks, but it was basically confirmed by the man himself. Bill Murray is going to be in the cast of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. He let this slip to the German newspaper interviewer Patrick Heidman, and people through Google Translate were able to figure out that he basically said, like, I worked with Peyton Reed and I'm in Ant-Man 3. Who do we think he's going to play? Because I have one theory, which is Time Master, who's like kind of an obscure Ant-Man villain, who if you look up a picture of him, you can visualize Bill Murray playing this man. Like it would be pretty easy to picture him kind of in the fold of that. So what do y'all think?
I would honestly be okay if he's just Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Another Zombieland moment.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to see Scott Lang come in like Woody Harrelson and be like, Bill freaking Murray. But yeah, I really don't know who he could play. But I mean, I think it's funny that he's got Groundhog Day in the bag, and this is going to be a time travel movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I Jenna, your guess is better than anything I'll have. So, Aaron, you got anything?
The Kangs are predisposed to having a random figurehead to be the bad guy and then dropping it at the end like, haha, it was actually me. So that actually does make a ton of sense, Jenna. I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've also seen some people say he could be Scott's dad, which like I would be okay with that, but I think there's like a number of Ant-Man villains that he could play instead. Like I think there's something more fun you could kind of do there. Or you could just have him be himself. Like at this point, anything goes.
Well, the thing about him playing Scott's dad is that in that interview, he first of all, I can't imagine sitting across from Bill Murray and interviewing him for something and him just being like, yeah, I'm in a Marvel movie. I'd be like, because that's just huge news. And so he went on to say, like, he's like, I never wanted to do a comic book movie. I never have to do another one after experiencing this one. So like Scott Lang's dad seems like a character who would be back again, but perhaps not. I don't know. I like casually cosplaying, saying Bill Murray as Galactus. No, I don't support that. But Viscardi Vendetta getting dark in the comments, Jim Viscardi, saying, unless he dies as Scott Lang's dad. Wow, Jim, you had to take it there? This is why you're jailed, Jim. All right? All right, we're moving on. We got more news.
Can we please mention the weird logo? Can we please mention Ant-Man the Wasp? Ooh, as Nat said. Oh God, Layla, delightful.
I saw somebody on Twitter referred to that as Ant-Man and the Wasp, and then it had the picture of Michael Rooker from the beginning of the first Guardian saying "a billy bola 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 bola" to the guy in the shop. That's pretty much, he named it there. Yeah, that is a weird ass logo, man. I don't know. That's a bunch of O's, some big O's, little O's, and O's with lines coming off of them, and everything of the sort. Anyway, all right.
Okay. So the story of Marvel Studios, the making of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, dropped last week, and there's just a torrential downpour of nuggets in it. Highly recommend if you can go snag a copy. There's all sorts of stuff in there that's just from all of the movies, just weird tidbits, things we didn't know. One of the most important things we probably didn't know is that Kevin Feige called all hands on deck among the Marvel Studios executive producers for a planned retreat to get Spider-Man back before Amazing Spider-Man 3 went into production. And in the book, they say, with no time to spare, Feige announced an all-hands-on-deck situation. Every executive producer at Marvel Studios had to be a part of a secret 2-day-long off-site retreat held in a rented hotel space in Santa Monica. No one else at Marvel Studios was told about what they were doing, just that it was a get-together in that closed room. 2 questions were posed. If there was an opportunity to broker some kind of deal with Sony, how would it work? And if they leveraged something like a 5-picture deal, what stories would they want to tell? So they were really serious about getting Spider-Man back in the MCU.
Yeah, it's almost got Mafia vibes to me.
See, I was just thinking of like, we have so many movies about Hollywood stuff of like behind the scenes deals of like, we have Mank about the entirety of writing Citizen Kane. It's like, can we get a movie decades from now that is just like Sony and Marvel Studios dealing with Spider-Man? Like you deal with this 2-day retreat and you deal with like the month where we thought Spider-Man wasn't going to be in the MCU anymore. And you just like track all of that. Cause I want to be a fly on the wall when this retreat was being held. Cause it just seems like it would have been so fascinating.
If we don't wait decades, we could actually finally get Martin Scorsese to do a Marvel movie.
Listen, is that something we really need at this point? I think he could make a hell of a Marvel movie, but with all that the drama that comes with that, oof, the memes would be relentless. I saw Layla in the comment section ask what the book is called. It's called The Story of Marvel Studios, The Making of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And while Aaron was describing that all, I just ordered the book on Amazon because I don't have it yet. I've just been reading these excerpts that like we've been writing in like MCU Direct, and everybody's been pulling out these nuggets. There's so many. I gotta say, this book and all these little bits that I've seen online, I'm really surprised how like there's actually like substance to this book, like good, interesting, revealing, fresh, honest content about this history that you're not really like. It's not. This isn't like a shade or a dig at Marvel. Like you just aren't used to them being open and forward about this kind of stuff. They like to keep this stuff to themselves. They keep the secrets, the processes, and then you just see what comes out. And now it's like they're being pretty honest that they really went after Spider-Man. They're being pretty honest about filmmakers almost quitting. Go ahead, Chris.
I got to say, though, that I thought the same thing. I was like very surprised that they were being as transparent as they are in a lot of the excerpts that I've read from the book. But it also makes me wonder, like, maybe they're not being honest. Like, how much more like salacious dirt could there be if they're giving us this much stuff? Like maybe it gets worse and we don't know that.
I mean, I'm sure there's more. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's stuff that we'll never hear about and stuff and all that kind of thing. But it is for like you. I've read so many Marvel encyclopedias and histories of this, and it's nothing that we don't know already from knowing the ins and outs of what's said on the internet, which is interesting. But I always wonder. Like, I saw something on the comments on one of our Phase Zero tweets. Like we tweeted something about Avengers: Age of Ultron's director, which is Joss Whedon, and I purposely left his name out of the tweet because he seems to be a pretty garbage person. And so somebody responded and was just like, "What? It makes you wonder if or it might have been about Gal Gadot or something." But somebody responded was just like, "I wonder, if Joss acted this way on the set of Avengers and Avengers: Age of Ultron, and they just decided get rid of him because Marvel just hasn't talked about Joss Whedon or to Joss Whedon at all since Ultron, right? Not that I'm aware of." And it makes you wonder, like, how much stuff maybe do we not know? And that's just a speculation that I don't really want to start or think about. Were people mistreated like Gal and Ray were on Justice League on the set of Avengers? But yeah, that's
people have pointed out that like when all the stuff with Joss went down, that nobody. None of the Avengers were exactly coming to his rescue or his defense, so, and that in itself is very telling. So, yeah,
I mean, like when the internet was coming for Chris Pratt, all of the superheroes were like, "Hey, we know Chris."
And James Gunn. I mean,
yeah, and James Gunn. Yeah. And when it went for Joss Whedon, they were all probably like, "Well, I mean, yeah."
Yeah.
But yeah. Jim said Joss also trashed Marvel pretty bad post Age of Ultron. I don't really remember that. I don't know. I probably have this somewhere in the logs of my Marvel memory, but there's so much in there that maybe I just didn't even. I deleted this file to make room for another. But we're gonna move on to another piece of news. And Chris, this is coming from you from that book.
Yeah. So apparently in the book they also explained how they went overboard trying to kill Planet Hulk movie expectations, because in Avengers: Age of Ultron, the original version of the story had Hulk going into space, but Feige didn't want to have Planet Hulk rumors start, so they redid it and had Nick Fury save his ship, which was last seen on Earth. And the next time that he saw the director of Age of Ultron, Feige had to tell him that Hulk went to space for Thor Ragnarok. So that's it. That's the juice.
That is kind of funny that happened that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it's funny that back in 2015, Feige knew that these sort of things would happen. And it really makes me wonder, why did he let that aerospace engineer thing happen?
It's so weird with Age of Ultron, like all of the things that we almost got in that movie, like the amount of speculation or just like canon that it could have brought of, like we could have gotten Captain Marvel for the first time. We could have gotten like Ant-Man and the Wasp, like in the first Avengers movie.
Zoe Deschanel as the Wasp.
Exactly. Like the amount of things that like we almost had happen in the MCU, but we like just barely dodged them. It's like, it doesn't surprise me that Planet Hulk was a part of that. But then even then we kind of got Planet Hulk anyway, so it all worked out in the end.
That's true. Everybody, if you're watching on the Twitch here, our comment section is a lot of fun right now. If you're new to the show, welcome to Phase Zero. We do this every Wednesday. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow the Twitch, Comicbook.com Twitch channel and all that good stuff. I'm actually going to figure out if I have the equipment to stream a video game, because I got the Guardians of the Galaxy game and I'm going to do a stream. I just don't know if that's at our house or my house.
I gotta say about the Guardians game, I did not look excited. It didn't look good to me at all. And but now all these reviews are coming out, and this is it sounds like a really fun game.
It's incredible.
So, is it? So I'm gonna have to try it out, because I really wasn't impressed with the trailers. But and I also didn't like Avengers, the game. I couldn't get into it, and it just got so redundant after a while. But this Guardians game sounds amazing.
No, it is a completely different type of game than the Avengers game, and for the better. It is almost shocking that the same sort of company made them both. But it is so much fun. I have I have been playing. No, I've been playing it basically for the past day and a half. So I highly recommend it.
Jim says the Avengers is dog water. It's speaking gamer language now. Your dog water. Your mom helps you shower. Those are some of the best insults online. But yeah, I enjoy the Avengers. That said, I only enjoyed it enough to play for 2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't enjoy it.
Well, that's 2.5 hours is pretty long of a story mode for me on a game that is not The Last of Us, because I am very much an online gamer. I like playing against other people in snackable Rocket League, Fortnite type arenas. Story mode, my attention span runs out real fast, real fast. But yeah, I think I'll get through Guardians. I'm going to start it tonight, and then I think tomorrow we're going to do a stream here. So if you're following us on Twitch, you'll be notified. All right. Also, I'll tweet it out, because I know you guys bad at the Twitch notification. I'm just kidding. You guys are the best audience in the world, and we love you for it. We got more news. The Russos almost quit Marvel Studios. So this I find to be very interesting. And it really enlightens you to the process of Marvel Studios. They have the creative committee and all that stuff. So in Civil War, the Russos, Anthony and Joe, if you don't know, they wanted to have Captain America and Iron Man fight at the end of the movie, right? That seems like the only logical outcome. That's what happens in the comics. It has to happen if you're going to have a movie called Civil War. The creative committee was like, nah, we don't want that. Have the Avengers come together and fight Zemo. Can you imagine a version of Civil War where Iron Man and Captain America did not actually fight each other at the end of the movie? I think that movie would be hot garbo. I probably would have seen it and been like, that was pretty fun. But I'm glad I didn't have to go through that, because I like what we got. You needed that fight. When the creative committee tried to veto the fight, the Russos were like, we'll leave. We'll be out, yo. We'll peace out. And they were like, all right, fine. You can do your thing. I'm so happy they did that. I find it so interesting that the creative committee has input like that. And apparently, they say in the book that sort of input from the creative committee is not common. At least at the time, it wasn't common. I'm really curious. I would love to hear, if other filmmakers could be this honest. How often has that happened to a Marvel movie where the creative committee is like, well, we don't want to do this thing. We want to put this other thing in there. Like how Avi Arad took the Vulture out of Spider-Man 3 and replaced him with Venom. I wonder how many times the producers or other people get involved in that is the outcome. But yeah, that alternate ending of Civil War would have been hot garbo.
It would have been nothing. Baron Zemo was the whole thing was the brilliance of his plan. He's not a Captain America and Tony teaming up against him. It would have been over in 2 seconds. It would have been super boring.
Yeah. It's it. Jim says that whole creative committee intervention happens more than you think. But then you have people like James Gunn who very outwardly are like, we get to do whatever we want. And it's like, is that it for everybody? Are you just kind of saying that? I believe you, James, but do I?
Well, James is also he's very well-rounded with writing the scripts and the storyboards and all that. I mean, James is so involved in the process. I wonder if maybe they are a little bit more hands-off because of that. But then again, they also sort of adopted his style, I feel like, after Guardians 1. I mean, and so maybe they were just so impressed with that they leave James alone. I don't know, but I could see that being the case.
Important note from the comment section: the committee is gone now. They were disbanded in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
See ya.
I will just say before. Oh wait, I'll say one thing and then Aaron, you can go. I think it also depends on like how much the movie has to do with the future of the MCU. It's like I think Gunn was probably able to kind of do his own thing to an extent because the Guardians until Infinity War were kind of disconnected from the larger MCU. But like when you have Captain America and Iron Man and you're potentially like, do we have them fight or do we have them not fight? Like that does have repercussions. We saw that it took until Endgame for them to even be on speaking terms again. So it's like I can understand how it might have to do with like what the larger narrative of the universe is.
I also saw an interesting bit in the book that I didn't include in the notes, so I don't have the full quote. But another thing from that book is that Feige wanted all of the original Avengers to die in Endgame. I'm kind of like, Feige, listen, bro, we trust you. And Feige, we trust, right? Except on this one, bro. Come on, you're gonna kill Thor.
It was already a little forced, I think, that the snap took away everybody but the original Avengers. So killing off the original Avengers, all of them, that also would have come across as incredibly forced to me.
But I mean, the only ones left at that point were Thor and Hawkeye, right? Like, because Black Widow died, R.I.P.
I mean,
Iron Man died,
Captain America, sort of, but
Hulk.
Yeah, Hulk technically, yeah.
But I mean, you could have Hawkeye, I guess.
But no, Aaron, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say I paired when we read this in the rundown. I was like, I paired that with I wanted to kill off all the original Avengers and just do a Transformers the movie with Infinity War, where all your favorites are gone in the first 15 minutes. Like, that's crazy. People went crazy for the ending of it regularly, just with like Spider-Man dying and T'Challa and Falcon and like Scarlet Witch and everything. Could you imagine walking out of the theater and they kill all of the original set? Like, it would have been insane. People would have been so mad.
Thanks to What If, we kind of know what that's like now.
Yeah.
Just watching the Avengers die over and over again.
Did you guys see the Infinity Ultron by Hot Toys that dropped this morning?
No.
Hold on, I'm gonna pull up this photo here. My goodness, I'm not gonna buy it strictly because I refuse to buy What If figures that are like $200 or $300. But oh wait, I tweeted it myself. Not Phase Zero. If you're not following Phase Zero though, you should follow it on Twitter. Great MCU news source. Look at that thing. That is a Hot Toys. It's kind of blurry. My webcam sucks. I don't have that Zack Snyder junket cam going. Anyway, all right, we're gonna take a quick 1-minute break. We have one more piece of news, and then we're gonna get into some Eternals discussion. It's spoiler free, but I know if you guys are tired of Eternals and don't want to hear anything about it, you just want to go experience it for yourself. November 6th, we respect that. So let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with some more. Welcome back to Phase Zero, episode 42 rolls on right now. I'm Brandon Davis, joined by Jenna, Aaron, and Chris. We have one more piece of news. I actually also wanted to add one thing from the conversation earlier about the Russo brothers. They soft retired, according to the book, and they are expected to return. So let that sink in. All right, we got one more piece of news before we get to Eternals. Jenna, take us away.
Yeah, so Secret Invasion, there's been a lot of mystery around it of like who are all of these new cast members going to play. According to a new report from MCU Direct, Killian Scott, who is one of the cast members for the series, is playing Fizz, who is a member of the Skrull race who has mutant abilities, which are being able to change his size. And he went to Earth in the comics and stayed with Professor X and kind of helped fight the X-Men alongside a group of other Skrulls. So people are like, if he really is playing this character, we kind of could have an X-Men tie here. Like, I could see them doing this character without having to really acknowledge that, but it is still kind of cool if he is in the fold. So what do y'all think about it?
I'm not super familiar with the character, but I feel like they could easily pull a Scarlet Witch situation and just not make him a mutant.
And they just did that in Falcon and Winter Soldier with Selby. Like, it's not like Selby is this very, very integral character in comics, but they put her in Falcon and Winter Soldier, no mention of a mutant gene. I'm pretty sure she died in the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
Was Selby a male character in comics?
I think so.
Was
if I remember correctly.
So they're not they'll change a few things. They'll use characters as they want to use them. They'll fit them into the MCU stories, and it doesn't really matter. I don't think if you take the mutant gene out of Fizz, but it would be cool if they left it there. And I don't know. We just kind of have these characters that start popping up and having these weird abilities, and then eventually discover, they're mutant genes. Maybe that's, I don't know. If you want that idea, Feige, $20. All right. Secret Invasion could be really cool, man. That started filming. I hope they start sharing some photos and stuff from that soon. But there's so much in the MCU pipeline that I think it might be a minute before we see anything from that. Mm-hmm. I just want a poster for Spider-Man No Way Home, to be honest with you. I don't ask for much. But all right, let's talk about Eternals. This will be a completely spoiler-free conversation. I promise you. We know nobody likes spoilers. And they're out there. So if you drop them in the comment section, we will ban you from the chat. We will delete your comment. It won't do much good for you or anyone else. So we like to keep our community very fun, welcoming, and enjoyable for everybody. So Eternals, you heard Jamie and I talk about it on last week's show. We both kind of said, like, we liked it. We don't love it. It's okay. Jamie gave it a 4 out of 5 star review on Comicbook.com. I gave it a 6 out of 10 on Twitter. Everybody lost their minds. I know. I pissed everybody off with that one. That said, I think I liked the movie. I didn't not like the movie. I certainly didn't love the movie. I watched it again after giving it that rating. I certainly liked it a bit more the second time around, and I feel like I can't really explain why I liked it a little bit more the second time without spoiling something. So I think we're going to have a really interesting discussion after the movie comes out. But overall, it's just, to me, it's not a movie that I want to watch over and over again. And it has things I like, but it's uneven. That's you all heard my rating or my summary of my opinion last week. But Chris Killian, you guys are going to love him. He loved this movie, and he is your new hero. So, Chris, take the stage and tell us your opinion of Eternals.
So I want to say with some asterisks there. Yeah, I loved it. I think I loved it. I want to watch it again, but I feel like I probably went into it not excited at all. I did not expect to like it. I'm not a fan of the Eternals from the comic books. They're not characters that I ever got into. So I didn't have high expectations. So that helps. I mean, that helps a lot going into something, to be pleasantly surprised about how good I thought it ended up being. I thought Chloe Zhao tackled a lot of heavy themes in the movie that we've not seen in Marvel movies before. I mean, just a whole range of stuff gets brought up, through the various characters. I mean, there's aging and death and dementia and sexuality and our place in the universe. I also like, and I'm trying to say this not spoilery, but I like when antagonists have when there are complicated stakes, right? So I love Civil War because there's really no antagonist. That you've got Iron Man and you've got Captain America, and they both have sides that you can understand, right? Logically, you can understand why both sides make sense. And I think that that's happening in Eternals as well, without giving away what those stakes are. You can kind of understand where both sides are coming from, and it's complicated and problematic. And I think Eternals did a really good job with it. I mean, I think that this is a movie that's got a lot of thought and heart into it. And I just think that I think it's going to take a little while for audiences to maybe catch on to it. I just feel like it's a movie that people are going to appreciate more in a couple of years. But it's not to say that I think it's a
Here's something
perfect
I
movie.
want to say. I think that the movie would have been even better if it wasn't a Marvel movie.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Like, there is a lot to like in this movie. I think that in trying to sew itself into the MCU and add so much history through the lens of 10 new characters, to me, it ultimately becomes uneven. And there's things I wanted more of, and there's things I wanted less of, and there's things that I'm like, I don't really understand this part. And I'm so torn on it because I like the movie a little bit, but overall I'm just like, it's a lot of movie. There are several just exposition dumps, which for me take me out of a movie. And so when it just kind of like lays it all out there for you for a very long time, that's like, oh wow, okay, all right.
Yeah, but I also found it so fascinating how they were able to weave the Eternals kind of through human history and really zero in on the idea that superheroes are mythological, stories in and of themselves, and kind of like, how the Eternals represent a lot of the mythology that we think that we know, as far, we see them in Mesopotamia and Babylon and all these places. And it was very fascinating to me. I thought they did a good job with that, but I agree with you about the Marvel stuff because I feel like everything that they tried to shoehorn in with like Marvel references is where it got like the plot holes. You could kind of see plot holes and stuff in there. And again, I'm trying not to give away too much. Like I felt like, I know you liked Dane Whitman a lot, and I'm excited to see what they do with Black Knight, but he was so underused in this movie that I felt like he was kind of shoehorned in a little bit. He was kind of forced in the same way that I felt like Wonder Woman was maybe forced in Batman versus Superman, stuff like that. So
yeah, I mean, now I feel like I've been playing devil's advocate, and I feel like I'm just like, I'm sounding like a hater on the movie. I certainly did not. I'm just trying to like have a conversation here where we have different opinions here because I liked it, you loved it. So I also like the things I like I think everybody's gonna have a different favorite character. Like for me, first time watching it, really, really loved Kingo. Still love Kingo. Then the second time around, I really enjoyed Phastos because I thought he was like the character who I could like understands the most and like could relate to the most. And I love how they brought like sexuality to the MCU. They brought the LGBTQ community to the MCU, and it wasn't something that like they had to call some kind of crazy special attention to or treat differently. It just kind of feels like part of the story. So I think that like I really enjoyed Phastos' story. I really enjoyed Makari, but I wanted a lot more. I really enjoyed Druig, but I wanted a lot more. Like there's stuff with Thena that I liked, but I'm also kind of like,
but I don't think that
I want to hear from you.
I don't think leaving you wanting more is necessarily a bad thing, right? I think that's good, especially for the future of the Eternals. But my favorite was, I actually really enjoyed Gilgamesh, and I don't know if this is I don't think this is a spoiler or not, but he's kind of the one, he enjoys cooking so much and everything. For a guy that's going to live like 7,000 years or whatever, I really appreciated that Gilgamesh had gotten so good at cooking, because I felt like, oh, I can get behind that. I mean, how are these guys not amazing at like piano and violin? Just, if you're going to live that long, I would just think that you have a lot more hobbies than they do. But Gilgamesh,
Makari has a lot of interesting hobbies, I think, but we don't get to explore it too much.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot to like in this movie. I think some people are really going to love it, and I think some people are going to walk out and really not like it, and there's going to be a lot of in between.
It's a heavy movie though too. I mean, like you said, and it's long. I mean, it is a long movie. I feel very much the way like Eternals is almost. It's kind of funny that it's come out close to the same time as Dune, because it's sort of like Dune, right? Like I love Dune. I think it's a beautiful movie. I also understand why people might not like it or might find it boring or, things of that nature. Like I understand, but I just was really surprised by how much I enjoyed it. I mean, I just think that I think it was great. Also, some of the action in the movie, the opening scene in particular, and the finale, I mean, I thought was fantastic. I mean, the fight between, well, I can't, God, I almost spoiled something right there.
Woof,
but
Chris, reel it in.
But there are some like because a lot of them have like Justice League type powers, right? And so there were some fights that I was like, oh man, made me realize how cool some fights, with other characters, how cool they could really be.
So wait, you think Eternals made you like Justice League more? That's what
no. That's not what I just said. That is not what I just said. But thanks for trying to get the internet on me.
It seems like no. I mean, listen. It's also like I gotta say,
I want to come back and talk about this when we can.
Yes, this is very much a movie that is going to be very fun to talk about when there's spoilers. There's also something, Chris, you and I talked about this on the phone. There's like a commentary on an aspect of our like real world that is, to me, the most interesting thing in the film. But I cannot even begin to touch on that without spoiling something. And I think it's one of the most intelligent kind of real life parallel metaphorical stories that I really enjoyed about Eternals, and that's certainly the thing I liked the most about this film was. But I'm like just kind of beating around this thing. I know you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. But it's really an interesting parallel and commentary on real world beliefs and people and stuff like that. And,
I just think that it got way deeper than what I was expecting it to be, and which Marvel has been anyway. I mean, we've kind of seen this from the Disney Plus shows. I mean, I think it started with Civil War, and then a lot of the Disney Plus shows have broached some pretty sensitive subject material. So Disney is, they're getting a lot better about allowing some heavier themes into the MCU, but Eternals really touched on some stuff that I was kind of surprised with, and did it well. I thought they handled it really well. So, so I'm excited to see what other people think about it, but I definitely think it's it's clearly going to be a love it or hate it sort of movie, I think, except for you.
I don't know, man. I do see a lot of people who are just kind of, I talked to Jim after the movie. He's kind of just like, I liked it. It is what it is. It's a good movie, but it's not one that I'm eager to watch. Chris, would you watch this? Like, would you open Disney Plus and just put this on again and again?
Yeah, not again and again. I do want to watch it another time or two, but I don't think that makes a good or bad movie.
Oh no,
right?
I'm just curious. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I love Schindler's List. I don't ever want to watch it again. It's sort of. I'm not saying it's as heavy as Schindler's List, but I'm just using that as an example of a movie that's like really well done, but you don't necessarily want to just watch it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's not like Thor Ragnarok, right? Where I can put Thor Ragnarok on in the background and just watch it 24/7. I just love that movie. It's not fun in the same way, but it is a good movie. I think Eternals is good.
I think it's good. I liked it, and I feel like what's a very interesting thing that I have run into, and this is I know it's going to sound like a weird thing to say and point out, but when you have close to 200,000 people following your words on Twitter, and among those people are fans who are many of them are very actively like looking forward to hearing somebody's thoughts, which I appreciate. Like, it means the world to me that people care what I have to say. A lot of people don't. I know those people don't follow me. I'm glad they don't. If they want to bring negativity, that's fine. But it's like a weird pressure to know that there's this many people following and looking forward to opinions that I get to go be so privileged to go see a movie early or to whatever, to talk to the people and do these interviews, that when I review a film at all, I don't really write very many movie reviews at all, like fully on the site anymore, but I'll share my thoughts on Twitter. Like, I wrote my thoughts on Eternals. It's way more fun when I love a movie. It's way more fun. I don't want to be the one who comes in there and be like, I thought this was just okay. Or in cases where I really don't like a movie, be like, I hate this movie or something. Like, I'm also never just going to bash a movie. Like, if I don't like something, I'll say I didn't like it and I'll move on, because I don't like having negativity on Twitter or whatever. I'm still going to keep talking about Eternals and having fun with this because I enjoyed Eternals and I enjoyed these characters, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing them in the future. When I rewrote my tweet about Eternals, where I said 6 out of 10, like 50, 100 times, because I was like, I don't want people to think I hate this, but I also got to be honest about, like, I don't love it. It's fine. It's just a movie that I enjoyed. And so, as anticipated, everybody went nuts, said I suck, I hate good movies, I don't know cinema. They brought up the fact that I really enjoyed Black Widow. I loved Shang-Chi. I don't know, it seems Shang-Chi is universally loved. Black Widow, I guess, over time has become hated by some people, loved by others. And this one, I'm very interested to see what people see. But yeah, I mean, it is very interesting to know that when I just like something that some people haven't seen but think they're going to love, that people are going to tell me my mother's an awful person, and that all that kind of shit is going to happen on Twitter. So I try to have fun with this stuff. It's way more fun for me when I love this stuff, because it's way more fun for everybody else. But I'm also not going to lie to you guys and say I love something when I only just liked it. So yeah, it's a very interesting position to be in.
That's a problem in and of itself, though, is this assumption that to love something, you have to love it entirely, right? That's not true. Like, you can love something, Marvel as a whole, or a movie, and it can have issues and it cannot be perfect. And you can acknowledge that. You can acknowledge and be critical and still love the thing that you're talking about. You don't have to. It's not a love it or hate it sort of thing in the sense of like, if you don't love all of it, then you just absolutely hate it. I mean, that's just ridiculous thinking.
Yeah, I agree with you. But it is, I do try to just separate expectations from I just wanted to let everybody know, I do try to separate like expectations and anything that I think people are going to say in response to my thoughts in any way on social media. I try to be as honest as I can and celebrate the things that we love and celebrate some of these movies and all this stuff, even when we don't like them, we love them, whatever. And I just try to be honest and have fun with you guys all the time. So appreciate the Phase Zero audience. You guys are awesome. And Chris, I'm glad you loved it. Aaron, Jenna, I'm sorry you guys just had to sit here and be witness to this debate because you guys haven't seen the movie yet. I'm very excited for you guys to be able to finally weigh in. I know everybody on Phase Zero just wants to hear your thoughts as well because you guys have very good opinions. So I know you guys have been listening to this. Anything you guys want to add or ask or anything like that?
I will just say, yeah, first off, like all of the stuff over the weekend of like people attacking you for your tweet just made me like, I was like, I'm just going to get off the internet today. Cause it's like, people need to separate the fact from like, you can still be excited for a movie and also understand that critics and other people that you follow who have gotten to see it early might have a different opinion than you. Like you are supposed to weigh the opinion, but you're not supposed to take it as gospel. It should not completely zap your ability to be excited for a movie. But also like, I find it interesting, Chris, that you mentioned Dune, because I was kind of thinking already, not having seen Eternals, but having seen Dune last weekend, it almost seems like, because I had a whole debate with my boyfriend and his brother about how they loved the world building of Dune, but they didn't really feel emotionally invested for any of the characters. And they were kind of waiting of like part two. I hope part two like builds out these characters a little bit more and makes it an interesting story to follow. And it almost feels like Eternals might be the opposite of that, of like you love the characters, you want to see more of the characters, but it's just like the world building and the retrofitting in the MCU might be where it kind of feels a little short. So it's interesting that you made that comparison, because me, just on the outside, that's how I am kind of expecting the movie to be at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. And I liked the world building. I mean, I mentioned that I sort of liked the way they weave them into human history. But at the same time, I mean, it's always going to be problematic when you're going backwards, trying to fit things in that's already been established. I mean, and that's sort of the MCU plot holes that, you know, that all the stuff that I see and pick a point. And we can kind of, I don't know, I want to talk about things and I can't. But I mean, the Thanos thing, right? We all know that Thanos is, if you know from the comics, Thanos has a deviant gene, right? So and the Eternals, we know from the trailers that they can't interfere unless it's deviant. So on one hand, I was like, well, so is a deviant gene in somebody not enough to, you know, to quantify interfering? I don't know. So there's a lot of questions.
So you're saying they should have interfered with Thanos?
Yeah, I would have thought that should have been enough to qualify. I agree, and that is an interesting conversation for after the movie comes out, because there's so much to unpack in this movie, and even if we take that any further, I feel like we're like Thanos is not really like, the MCU hasn't shown us that Thanos has the deviant gene or anything. That's coming from comics, so we didn't spoil anything from Eternals just yet. So don't worry, we did not bring something from the movie that you haven't seen in the trailer or from seeing the movie yet. But yeah, that is a huge plot point. And Jim says there's a huge plot point we need to talk about because of that after it comes out. Oh, well, yes. Okay, Jim. Well, you know what? We're done with that now. So, but yeah, long story short, there is so much to talk about in Eternals because there's so much story. Some people are going to love that. Some people will just like it. Some people hate it, whatever. I'm very interested to see what people think in a couple weeks. But the bottom line is it's a lot of story for me. And I'm very interested to talk about it and see what people think. And I very much look forward to everybody digging up my tweet and telling me I'm a hideous, awful, terribly opinionated person because they loved it. I know that some people saved my opinion and are just looking forward to trying to dunk on me. Thanks for the quote tweet. That's more people I'm reaching, I guess, whatever. But that's pretty much where we'll end today's show. Chris, anything else you want to say about Eternals? No, I want to come back and talk about it when we can talk spoilers, because then I can really dive in. But I was trying so hard not to spoil anything for anyone.
I think Comic Book Nation host Kofi Outlaw very much did not like Eternals, and he is going to be talking about it on Friday. He's been talking about it in the comment section. So I would, if you want to hear the opinion of somebody who really didn't like it and why, Kofi's your guy, and he's got you on Comic Book Nation on Friday. I'm pretty lukewarm, if I reviewed it for Rotten Tomatoes, I would have given it a tomato, just by a little bit. Chris would have, I think, given it a real hearty, ripe tomato. And Jamie didn't give it a tomato. Yeah, it is fresh. Listen, Eternals right now at the time of recording is just holding on to that fresh rating. It is at 66% through 80 reviews right now. So it's just holding on.
There's one movie that will always bring me back to the problem with Rotten Tomatoes is that Hook, Steven Spielberg's Hook, has like 15% or something stupid like that. And so, I only put so much stock into Rotten Tomatoes because of stuff like that.
You just blew Aaron's mind. Like, he did not know this information.
Like 1.4? Like not 4, like 1.4?
Something like, it's low. It's in the teens. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes is interesting because it's not like a score average of them. It's just like how many people said good or bad, which I don't have the answer for how to do a better version of that, but I agree. Putting stock in Rotten Tomatoes, putting stock in just in all critics in general. I'm of the opinion, go see the movie yourself and form your own opinion if it's a movie you think
Kofi just said in the comments that I liked Eternals more than Bad Boys 1. Let that sink in. First off, I didn't say that, but it's true. It's true.
Chris, this is, I got to draw the line somewhere. Bad Boys 1 is cinema.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get off here before curse words start getting thrown around.
Yikes. No, Bad Boys 2, Bad Boys 1, 2, and 3 are cinema. Okay.
Well, yeah, let me tell you how much I think of Bad Boys is I didn't see 2 and 3.
Everybody, that was the last time you saw Chris Killian on Phase Zero. Jim, that jail cell's looking like the door's just sliding open, huh? All right, everybody. Well, this was a fun show. Thank you for bringing honest opinions, everybody. I'm very much looking forward to everybody's takes on Eternals in a couple weeks. Jenna, anything you wanted to add before we head out today?
Nope. Just follow me on Twitter at Hey It's Jenna Lynn.
Aaron Perrine, anything you want to add to today's show today?
We better have CK back on once we can talk about this, because I can listen to you two go back and forth about this for like another hour. And
just wait till you have opinions on this movie.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh Lord, what does that mean, Brandon? What is that? Like, what is going to happen?
I genuinely. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, statistically speaking, I feel like Aaron or Jenna, one of them will love it and the other will hate it, and I'm curious to see what our tag team is going to be.
I don't think anybody's going to hate it.
I think I'm just going to like it or enjoy it. Like, I don't think I'm going to go to hate. I think it'll just be like Brandon said, like, you like it, but you don't love it.
Yeah, there's a lot to like in it for me. Too much story, and I think other people are going to have similar pros and cons, different pros and cons. Whatever.
Oh, are you looking at the chat, Aaron?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I was just trying to verify that. So
wait, what happened?
So Geeks Worldwide is saying that there will be a Thunderbolts project in 2023.
Whoa, we have a post-credit scene.
In the show. We have a post-credit scene in the show. So
what's just hold on a second.
I know.
I need to open up Twitter. We're doing this live, everybody. The show goes on.
Chonky show.
All right. We got a Chonky edition. We've had a couple of... a Shang-Chi sequel is reportedly in development and will head into production in 2023. Yes!
Wow.
That's great news. Marvel is reportedly producing an Okoye project, which will likely be a streaming series. It's expected to begin production in 2023. Yo, what's happening right now? Oh my... Well, this is all coming from Geeks Worldwide. Is that... Somebody inform me on if that is a often reliable source. Marvel Studios is reportedly producing a Thunderbolts movie, which will begin production in 2023. What is going on?
This
is worth it just for your reaction, BD.
What is going on? What is this?
This is insanity. Thank God we extended the show. And I talked too much and we got to this point. Thunderbolts is the one. Shang-Chi 2 is what I'm most excited for. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Thunderbolts. Okoye.
Jim's just vibrating and like floating off his chair right now. Oh my God.
Jim is like, we need to get the articles up on the site. Traffic.
Yep.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I don't know what happened there.
I don't know what that was either.
I don't like that.
Let's not speculate.
Transcending.
Whatever happened.
And then it morphed into Macho Man. It morphed into Shang-Chi 2. Yeah. All right. That's what in a minute. We had to have one. All right. We're going to end the show before this gets any more out of hand. Thank you for coming to Phase Zero, episode 42. Chris, I didn't give you any closing words. Anything for you?
Oh, no, I think you closed for all of us.
Yeah, we might not have to do another show after that. I'm your host, BD. Find me at Brandon Davis, BD. Follow at Phase Zero CB. And we have a quarantine watch party of The Amazing Spider-Man 1 Tuesday night. I'm about to send an email as soon as this show is over to see if we can get a special guest. No promises. I haven't reached out yet, but we'll see if we can make it happen. Everybody have a fantastic rest of your day, whatever day you're listening to our show.